Hello and welcome into the KE Report. Shad and Corey here getting an update from Scottie Resources, traded on the TSX.V under the ticker SCOT and on the OTCQB under the ticker SCTSF. And we're joined today with the president and CEO of Scottie Resources, Brad Rourke. And Brad, it's great to get you back on the show to talk about Scottie, talk about some drill results. You've had a couple results since we talked last, but just today you put out some information on December 12th about a new zone at the Scottie Gold Mine where you hit 37.6 grams per ton gold over 4 meters. And there's a section in there grading 6.85 grams per ton gold over almost 6 meters. So some nice hits. Again, another 100-gram meter hit, Brad. Now, this is a new zone at Scottie, and this is all kind of building into the upcoming resource where you're going to incorporate all of the drilling at Blueberry and the drilling at the Scottie Gold Mine. What can you tell us about this hole 353 and this new zone that you've hit here at Scottie?
Sure. So hole 353 is our longest hole of the season, and it was designed to hit multiple zones. As you know, the Scottie drilling this year is all designed so we can put a compliant resource out on what's around Scottie. But what we did, that hole is oriented in a very different direction than we've done and designed to kind of go through the M, the N, the L zones, like the ones that we've known about. But we pulled that drill back and we just kind of wanted to go under what's called Wolf Creek, so hence the Wolf Zone. And, we walked the margins of the glaciers in 2019, and quite frankly, it's quite a small little gold hit at this Wolf Zone, like 4 grams or something, which isn't really that eye-popping for the Golden Triangle, but it's about 200 meters away from like getting into where the resource is going to be. But we thought, I'd like to drill underneath that creek, and lo and behold, we hit, brand new. There'd never been a hole there. We didn't know there was vein sets in there, and to hit, I think it's like just under 7 grams over 6 meters. Pretty exciting for us because we didn't even anticipate it. We just thought, well, let's give that, and then of course we got down to where we really were trying to get through to what was the M and the N zone, and to hit the Bonanza one down at the N is really exciting. Okay, we know this is going to be part of our resource, but if you look back at some of our past releases this year, we have never really spoke about the N zone very much, and it's actually shaping up like we're going to have to put more attention on it with that hit. So, and there's a couple other hits there, like a 19 grammer, and then we drilled through the Moore Summit Fault. So it was a really multi-purpose hole. I mean, it's one hole, but it kind of served like 4 different things. And yeah, with all these great results, the most exciting part is might not be the highest gram meter hole, but that Wolf Zone is really exciting because much like the Blueberry was just one hole, and then next year we'll go and we'll do a tight drill program from that same drill pad, and let's start seeing what the potential of the Wolf Zone. But when they start working when you see all these vein sets together, and just the consistency of what we're hitting is, well, as you know, like, I mean, it's going to be good, or the potential is exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, consistent high grade. That's what you want when you're drilling. Look, figure 1 shows this hole and how it does go through all these other zones. But since we're talking about this new discovery, that Wolf Zone, it's just one hole. So obviously it's not going into the news release. It's not going into the resource, but it doesn't also sound like you have any other holes going this year. So this is a next year target then, hey, to expand on this Wolf Zone?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There's no drilling in the winter for us. But yeah, rest assured, we'll divert a lot more holes coming from that point, because again, the M zone was kind of the main zone when we first took over Scottie. My main actor was the M zone because that's what produced all the gold. The P zone we found, that's our discovery. The Wolf Zone, C and D, those are we got discoveries and multiple ones, and it's exciting. So yeah, there'll be a lot more drilling from that drill pad. We left that drill pad up because we recognize visually that we hit a zone it's our 6th drill season. So our team, recognize it's not hard to see pear-type pyrite. We don't have much visible gold in the area, but Thomas and his team, they understand the characteristics of what they're looking at. So we left that pad up, and I'm sure next year, we'll probably be drilling 4 or 5 holes from that pad just to, and they'll be tightly spaced in around that intercept, just so we can get an idea of the geometry of that set. You don't want to assume that that they're the same orientations. It looks that they are, but yeah. And but the whole purpose of that hole is for the resource side. So this is an extra bonus and more fun for next year. But the whole purpose of that hole was really, focusing on how much can we get out of the Scottie Gold Mine when we put this MRE out in a few months' time, 3 months' time, maybe shorter.
Well, let's dig into that a little bit more, Brad, because you're working towards this resource, and we've talked a lot about blueberry, and that's going to be a big part of it. But as far as the Scottie Gold Mine part of the resource, the M zone, we'll put a graphic in so you can see just some of the prior drill holes, but you've really put a lot into M and the O zone and the P zone, and now you said even the N zone's coming into focus. What are the main areas of gravity? What are the big areas of focus for the Scottie Gold Mine out of those zones? What's the one that's got the most beef to it?
That's a tough one. I think end zone's actually shaping up to impress us because these are for resource. We weren't hunting for anything because there was no core available for us to look at because of the past. This was done 45 years ago. So we just have to have core. We have a 700 drill hole database that's existing. We trust it because there's production. So we know gold actually came out. But in order for the resource modeler to be able to put their sign of approval, they need to look at core as well. So, this year wasn't hunting for new stuff. And so all these great hits that you see that we have, and we've got multiple ones, knowing that they're going to go to the resource just gives us the confidence. So I don't know if we're hunting at one or the other. This is more resource they're almost confirmation holes. They're not twinning holes, but they're confirmation holes because you just have to have it. So I don't know if one zone's over the other. I think, the O zone has some of the highest grades that we've seen. I think there was a 110 gram meter hit over a couple meters, a couple years back. There's very little drilling at Scottie. Again, when we first came into it, it was our main actor. It was our the focus of what we built the company around. And then when we, kind of discovered blueberry, we walked away. We didn't walk away from Scottie, but because the helicopter aspect and, it's so hard to raise money. We just went after the lowest hanging fruit, and if you remember before this season, I was going, okay, we're more than just blueberry. So that's why we went back to Scottie. But now with these hits that we're seeing, it just gives us so much more business case to drill more, right? Or more confidence. So I don't think we're going to jump back and forth. And again, the blueberry, we only did like maybe 3,500 meters this year, the smallest we've done in years. And not because we didn't love it and it's our favorite thing. It's just we wanted to show a little bit of everything. And so we got new discoveries. We're going to have the Scottie's going to come back into focus along in concert with blueberry. So let's see what that resource comes up with and what the market will allow us to drill next year. So yeah, I'm not over what zone's better over the other because of whatever's closest to the underground working. So the Wolf zone would be the furthest away, but it's still probably under 200 meters away, where the end zone is right at ore, right? Because we have the 7 kilometers underground workings there. So it's really accessible ore. And yeah, I like it all, to be honest.
So, Brad, looking to this upcoming resource, then the initial resource, just remind everybody how many different zones will be included in that resource, and can we put any numbers in terms of size, strike length, depth component around each of these zones, or tying them all together as one?
Well, I would look at Scottie as one thing, and mostly you're going to see. I mean, we're only a couple months away, but it's going to be the L, M, and N zone, I think, for the most part, where our resource is. Hopefully a little bit of the O, but there's just not a ton of drilling there. Obviously, the new Wolf zone, it won't be part of the resource. C and D veins, which have fantastic hits, there's just not enough drilling there. Our goal, and so here's what we're targeting is hopefully a quarter of our resource is going to come out of Scottie. And hopefully that's 250,000 ounces. And, we deem that it's going to be over 10 grams. So that's kind of what we're targeting. And hopefully we're undershooting that, but we don't have to wait long. And we'd be, if it's 1 million, I'm as happy as a clam. And just because you have to understand it's such little drilling that we've done. I think the maiden resource is going to constitute maybe a total of 55,000 meters drilling all in on everything. So that's Blueberry and Scottie total. So that's quite a little bit of drilling for if we're able to come up with 1 million ounces. And you can just look at so many other stories. I mean, you guys talk to all the other companies. I think our hit rate is exceptional. And, one day the market will reward us and allow us to go drill 40,000 meters in a year, and then we can expand these things. Yeah. And so that's what I'm targeting. And hopefully we have that ready for PDAC. Again, it's out of our hands. It's, they're independent. The people who'd come up with these resources are independent of Thomas and his team. But, we've made it very clear that, in a perfect world, we would love to have that out before PDAC. And yeah, and I'd be happy as a clam if it's 1 million or close to it, or because again, the small amount of meters that we've done, because we're open everywhere. Like we're not getting cut off anywhere, open at depth. Like, Scottie, you can see these holes, it's a 700-meter hole, but we're at the top of the mountain going down. So like there's it's really accessible, right? We're not 700 meters or 400 meters away from getting to that ore. I mean, the end zone, I'm going to be wrong by a little bit, but we're probably 20 meters from the adit, right? So it's really close to accessibility, which means small development costs, economic.
Well, and Brad, you've made the point on the show a couple of times that while you feel like you're going to be in the neighborhood of 1 million ounces on this resource, that you still feel comfortable with a pathway to 2 million ounces at Scottie. And even Michael Gray has come out and said he thinks he could see 3 million. I think part of it is that while the focus of the resource is going to be Blueberry and Scottie, like you say, there's other areas like the C&D veins. We've talked about them separately than Scottie. Or then there's the drilling that you've done at the Golden Buckle area that's a new target that you're still going to release assays on this year. Or then there's Domino that we haven't even talked about. And there's other areas that, like you say, like the ozone and other parts of Scottie and even parts of Blueberry that don't have enough drilling into them. So maybe talk about even beyond the resource, there's still so much upside from all the other targets you've already shown that there's high-grade mineralization there. It's just not enough drilling yet to include it in the resource. So maybe talk about all the drilling that's not even going to make it into the resource.
Oh, sure. I mean, I'm now declaring very comfortable saying they're targeting 2 million ounces. And, history shows I've only ever said a pathway to 1 million ounces, maybe just up until 12 months ago. I'm very comfortable. And that's just in around the intrusion at Scottie. I mean, I got Georgia River. We're not even talking about it. I think I have they're 150 gram meter hits, 4 of them down at Georgia River with a non-compliant resource down there of 220,000 ounces at over 20 grams or something. I'm not even including that in my 2 million. So we're just talking in around that immediate Blueberry Scottie zone, extremely comfortable. And you're right. The Wolf Zone, the Golden Buckle, C&D. I don't believe P Zone's going to make it into these resources. So it is exceptional. And again, with Michael Gray, he's kind of seeing, his suggestion on that 3 million ounces is just in around that intrusion from Domino all the way to Ben Vein. But again, such little drilling to come up with what we have is we're just happy as can be. But gosh, even at the Blueberry, it's probably just above the first 300 meters. We hit really, really great geology at 525 meters, and we only have one hole down there and still hitting a structure. But there's just so much more drilling to do. So I can continue to add ounces at Blueberry as frequent as we have in the past, albeit it's going to cost slightly more because, we've been just going after, what's closest on surface. And so, below that 300 meters, which is really not much, and this is an orogenic system, we're not seeing any big diking down at the bottom. It could go, who knows, right? I mean, potentially it could go for kilometers going down below. So lots of opportunity for us to continue to add ounces, and I just under promise, over deliver, and I'm very comfortable targeting 2 million ounces now. And and there's more than one person saying, Brad, yeah, just open it up, and but at our market cap today, now if I had a $400 million market cap, like I probably should, then I probably would stretch those arms a little bit wider. But just to everyone to have a breath, I'm a $40 million Canadian market cap doing backflips. I mean, we've done an exceptional job. Our team has done a really well job. There's so much value here that's just not even being realized right now. So, yeah, I can see a multiple much higher than I could have seen even 6 months ago. I am excited, and and I'm going into my ninth year on this very, very, very difficult business and file. But I probably have more energy now than I did 5 years ago. So, because I can see that light. Yeah, and again, a lot to do with Kevin Jennings joining our board. I think that's way underlooked, and in the junior mining world, no one's going to know who he is. But I mean, this guy's what he does is he financially models mineral deposits, and it's there's equals to him, but I mean, this guy's resume speaks for itself. That's what he does, and he is very well respected around the globe. And to have a guy like that guiding us financially on what things can be worth is exciting. I don't know if a junior exploration company has a Kevin Jennings. I don't think one. So he's got us energized, and he found us. We never found him, and it's great to see him come out of retirement and he's a full contact worker. I mean, this guy's built 70 spreadsheets for us to see. So it's quite amazing. And I think the rest of the world is kind of, at the bigger end of the companies, just can't believe he's come out of retirement to come work at a junior and, or work with a junior. He's not my employee or anything, but I tell you what, I think he's really happy to be working again. And a lot of people are recognizing that it's quite an anomaly. So, yeah, it's a blessing for me personally, and mostly it's for our shareholders too. So when I talk about numbers, they're coming from hardly anyone can sit on the other side of the table. You might find his equal, but you're not finding anyone better. I don't care what company.
Brad, let's talk about that valuation metric then a little bit further, because you're right. It would be great to be 10 times the market cap, raise a bunch of money, and truly attack all of these different targets and build resources at all of them. But easier said than done, because the market simply is not allowing you to do that with your current market cap. But it doesn't seem like the drill results, they are delivering. You are drilling some very nice holes here. You're going to be coming out with a resource. But again, a lot of other areas to explore. Is this a issue valuation wise because you're in the Golden Triangle and investors are distracted by different stories in the Golden Triangle? Is this a general problem with the exploration sector right now, where it's still just a handful of companies that are truly outperforming the sector? Or is there something else going on here that we're just not picking up on that is keeping the share price relatively depressed?
Well, if I really knew the answer to that question, but I mean, my theory is look, it's across the board. There's a lot of good companies doing a lot of good work. Now, of course, there are companies that are outliers and are doing well, and whether that's because of timing and original shareholders, I don't quite know. But I mean, very few companies are standing out, in my opinion. And again, I have a real portfolio in junior mining. I don't own just Scottie Gold, and I've been quite a successful investor over the last 30 years. I think it's just sentiment, and it just doesn't matter what we do. Again, I look at, I own Barrick, I own, these bigger companies of which, I think should be doing better than they are, price to NAV and stuff like that. It's just sentiment right now, and people, even though the commodity price is far exceeded what I thought for this year, but it's, the macro on gold is, oh my gosh, I'm actually revising what I think gold could be. And, I don't remember what I was hoping for, for 2024, and it was probably 2250, and people would have thought that was crazy 18 months ago. And now here we are, $2,700, and we're Canadian. So that's almost $4,000 Canadian, right? So the commodity's done what we thought it would do, but the equities across the board just haven't moved. But, I've seen this movie before, even though it was 25 years ago, but I was right in the middle of it. And, I cut my teeth in junior mining in late 80s, early 90s. And, I worked with the best in the industry at that time, right? Where it was Bob Dickinson or Murray Pesum. I mean, I staked Comess. It's my name are on the tags. I'm sure the tags are still there. And, I slept 100 days at SNP, and I was part of the Eskay Creek staking rush. That's how I learned that there was this thing called the financial market. And I cut my teeth in the most riskiest of the risky of the financial market back then, which was junior mining. Mining stopped. I went into tech. I was a dot-com millionaire. In 1999, I ran a company. I worked for somebody else. I didn't start it, but it's called Home Express. We're an online grocery store out of Calgary. So everything in tech worked. I was there, and pets.com came out, and everything worked. But I was still watching drill results in the Northern Miner, and things weren't moving, and I couldn't understand. It's very similar to now, except gold's 10 times the price as it was back then, and the sentiment is way lower. So to me, are things different this time? Oh my gosh, I've heard this so many times in my life, and I'm almost 60 now, but I'm excited because things are not different. Math is math. There will be when fear hits that market, and it will, people are going to run to gold to some extent. Sure, we can get other assets that are going to protect you, but gold is insurance. China started buying it. It's the prices, they're going to keep printing money. And with your president down there and our government up here, it just doesn't matter. They have to print more money. Interest rates, we dropped our interest rate 50 basis points yesterday. Holy smokes. That's, again, I don't know if people understand, people might just look at it differently than I do, but I mean, we've dropped interest rates this year like it was 2008, but everyone's telling us the economy is good. So it doesn't make sense right now. And everyone should just go to Costco, get yourself a Costco card and buy. Every time you go there, go buy yourself an ounce of gold because it's going up, and you save 4% cash back with that Costco card. I've been doing it. It's fun. And I think that's the way we support the market rather than going to bullion dealers. But people are going to miss out. And the sentiment is, I've never seen it quite as horrific as it is, but it's just math, right? And boy, oh boy, it's, people will be rewarded if they can hold in there. And I know it's tough, man. I'm doing it myself. I have 10 years on this, 9 years on this file. I've made no money. It's the hardest thing I've done, but boy, oh boy, am I sincere when I say I still have the enthusiasm. Yeah.
Well, Brad, you absolutely do, and it's a good point. The sentiment's in a weird place, even though gold has done so well, and it's been difficult for junior exploration companies to do the arm wave, even if they've been doing quality work like your team has. Let's just wrap up with the Scottie big picture vision here. The reason I asked you about all the other drilling not included in the resources and the pathway to 2 million ounces is because even if this initial resource comes in around 1 million, give or take, the real goal here is that you want to also wrap some economics around it. So I guess just wrap us up with what is the vision here as you move through this drilling into the resource and then eventually into a PEA? What is the vision for Scottie moving forward into next year? Give us that kind of snapshot of how you see things playing out.
Okay, well, this is where Kev comes in. So we've already, we started an ore sorting study. We sent a bunch of rocks over to Germany right now. Apparently, the characteristics of our mineralogy is perfect for ore sorting. We're kind of copying what Cisco's doing, and if we can make a concentrate to 15 grams, which hey, that's what we think we can do. But, again, we're only a couple months from that study coming back at us too. People have to understand I'm permitted. I'm on a mine road. I'm 40 kilometers from a deep water shipping facility. I don't need, potentially don't need to be standalone or anything. I mean, if we do look at DSO models, direct shipping of ore, I know Kevin's already talking to many smelters across the world, of which those are his personal relationships. And, we'll start putting activity on that. So I think we're going to, once we start putting numbers to things and definitively show to people, we're going to force the market to re-rate us because this is real, and we come out of this junior exploration model and maybe start looking more as a pre-development company in 2025. And, hopefully then we're no longer this $40 million market cap because of the permit that we possess at Scottie. And we're getting no value for that, but what that means, and our permitting consultants is the same as my neighbors to the south, and we think it's reasonable that if when I started the firing pistol, like, and that's not right now because that means I have to commit a lot more money, it's potentially possible that I could turn rocks into dollar bills in 30 months. So that's a little bit different than most exploration stories as well. So yeah, that ore sorting stuff, you can expect seeing an MRE. You can start seeing these studies on how this ore reacts. We've already done the metallurgy, so we're all good with that. And yeah, I think 2025 on top of a nice drill program. Again, I don't need to raise money at the moment. I could easily do the program I did last season and still have 2 years of G&A left over. So we're financially healthy. Yeah, so we can ride out these times, and that's what you're going to want to see as an investor is, I'd be stressed right now if I had to raise money right now because it's just difficult. And there's so many good people out there working really hard that have to raise money right now, and it's soul crushing for them because the market's just not. They don't care, and it'd be good for your investor. Like you guys have, out there, you're listening, man. Oh my God, write a couple checks for something because it cannot get cheaper. I mean, hey, anything could happen, but boy, oh boy, I tell you what, I'm writing checks. Yeah. So, and I'm starting to move things around. I think it's a great opportunity. I think 2025, it maybe in my prediction, my big Kreskin Swami prediction is like, we got to get through Q1 of the new presidency in the US. And then, I'm excited to see all that stuff happening down there. But at the end of the day, that guy likes debt and he likes transactions and he's going to print money. And that's only can be good for gold. Yeah.
Well, we'll wrap it up there for today, Brad, but I appreciate the Brad Swami prediction for next year. I appreciate laying out the strategy of the company and that you're, in addition to all the drilling, you're working towards the resource, you're doing all this de-risking in the background, you're looking at the ore sorting, you've already done the metallurgical work, and eventually we'll wrap some economics around it. So a lot going on with Scottie, and still a lot of assays still to release from this year's program. So for people listening in, if you want to follow along with all the news flow from Scottie, definitely click on the link below this interview. It takes you over to the Scottie website, straight to their news section, where you can sign up for updates or just follow along with the news as it hits the wires. Brad, keep us posted. We'll get you back on for an update when you get more drill assays out. And as always, looking forward to our next conversation.
Appreciate the work that you do, guys.